Fire Dragoon versus KLH. Fire Dragoon is on the blue side, KLH on the red side. Now Fire Dragoon is immediately taking out that Ashe. Veki making a lot of picks on that Ashe in his previous game, and they want to make sure that he does not do that to scramble the team composition. But we'll see how KLH responds with their ban as the timer ticks down. 1-0. Still no ban coming in for the side of KLH, and they miss the first ban. A bit of an unfortunate situation, maybe indecisiveness on KLH's side.
Or maybe a late lock-in. On the side of FDG, knocking out the Ashe for Veki's broad pool, I don't think they're going to do much about it. In terms of ADs, Veki can actually play some has shown that he can play any kind of AD that he really wants to. In terms of meta, utility ADs have usually been in meta, but also hyper carries. He's played Kog'Maw last game instead of Caitlyn, and even then he was still carrying pretty hard then. On the side of FDG, we can see that they banned out Fiora. I think Fiora has been permabanned pretty much the entire season so far.
Yes, and KLH actually losing their first ban because of lateness, but we'll see how they adapt to this loss as they take out Zac. Zac has been quite prominent since in patch 7.0, and it has been almost on the permaban list. We see twice pulling it out 2 or 3 times last week, but FDG is going to respond with a Syndra ban, still respecting RH's ability to just snowball the lane and crushes people with a button of the Unleashed power, while KLH taking out that Galio, which is a bit surprising. Maybe they are denying FDG of the ability to engage, but on the other side, we see what KLH did with Galio last week. 5-man knockout, taking out the entire team of Eternity Esports. But we'll move into the first pick phase. KLH taking the Karma and the Lee Sin for Caspian, while FDG taking the Elise for their first pick for Sair.
Now this is going to be really exciting. Elise Lee Sin matchups is always about how much you can gank and how much you can evade. If someone ganks, how are you going to punish it? If you're going to make a gank yourself, can you receive less damage in your jungle? Can you lose less camps compared to the opposing jungle? And this creates a lot of gank potentials, and it's super exciting to watch. On the side of FDG, they're picking up the Varus, another utility ADC, especially with his ultimate. The moment he lands on it, everyone else immediately engages on it. Usually a very good pick. Let's see what kind of a team comp they're picking up. Vladimir for the side of FDG.
Yes, Vladimir actually made it through the ban phase. KLH, maybe on one side they lost one ban, maybe on the other side they want to prioritize on other priority picks that FDG might pick up. So we will see another match with JLKC on the Vladimir, as KLH, they are actually going to respond with the Kog'Maw. Veki playing exceptionally well on that Kog'Maw last week, and he is here to prove once again that Kog'Maw will be his go-to pick if anything else does not work.
Now, I think that he's actually made himself a ticking time bomb, and the moment it hits 0, he's going to hyper carry the game. So on the side of FDG, they've got major snowball potential with Elise as one of their picks, setting up major dives, and I think that's going to be important. Bot lane is going to be really interesting, and I'm getting really pumped up to see this game now.
Yes, and Clad being taken out by KL Hunters. Now FDG so far, we know that they like to play aggressive. We know on the side of KLH, they also like to play aggressive as well. But when they go up against teams who like to engage more often than the teams that do not, they tend to fall back a bit to the defensive side. Karma and Lee Sin, a bit of peel and defense mechanism for Kog'Maw, enabling him to deal more consistent damage in a prolonged fight. While on the side of FDG, they don't want KLH to have that breathing room. They want to dive with that Elise, they want to engage with that Varus, and of course they want to snowball with that Vladimir as they take out Orianna. A really good ban, I would say, for the mid lane, as Orianna, the ball can just zone Vladimir out and starve him of farm. But KLH taking out that Darius, we do know that FDG hasn't picked up that top laner yet. Clad being taken out, Darius, Neko is known for that champion, so it's a respect ban, it's a safe ban, while FDG bans out the last champion, Cassiopeia. A really hard matchup for Vladimir as well, so the options for KLH for their mid laner will be limited to how they respond.
Now, KLH doesn't have access to a lot of these zoning majors, so I'm interested to see what they're going to add in. They've picked up for their top lane Kennen a very good engage. We're going to see whether it's either AD or AP, depending on the team, depending on FDG's team composition, so they can itemize correctly. knocking off top laners, I think it's smart. And I really like how KLH actually really respects Nico's ability on Darius. I really like to see that. It just shows such sportsmanship, especially for the side of KLH. And oh, they're picking up the Jarvan here. Now, how do you think this actually rounds out the team composition for the side of FDG?
And we are literally seeing an apocalypse that FDG is planning to rain on KLH. Jarvan, Cataclysm, Trash with that death sentence, Vladimir, Varus, Elise. What more could you ask for if you plan to dive on someone and just choke them out while dismantling them bit by bit? While KLH on the safe side, picking up that Zyra as a support for Veki in the bot lane. We all know where this is going. Zyra, a really good counter to Trash. Her plants can occasionally block the hook, and they are planning to disengage more than engaging in a fight. You have Cannon with the ultimate, but I feel like it would be used more on the defensive side rather than going offensive, because you definitely don't want to dive into FDG with that team comp. You want to retreat, you want to pull back a little bit, protect your Kog'Maw and let him deal the damage while you peel for him.
Now, I totally agree with you there. I think they're going to use Zyra more defensively more than anything else. FDG really wants to snowball. With their team composition, they can go for heavy dives in the early game. What KLH wants to do, they're going to need Lee Sin to be very active to keep Elise at bay. So whenever she goes for a gank, he's ready for a counter gank there. If they can stop the snowball, I think KLH is going to come up on top.
And with that Zyra pick, it brings us to this scenario once again. Karma. Remember KLH, they pick up Karma? Karma is going mid against Vladimir. Another Karma mid pickup. So far, we have seen a few in the last week, but it hasn't really worked out that much. The main problem with Karma mid is that she has a big burst. She has a bit of CC, a bit of shield, but that damage isn't consistent. Once the Mantra Q goes out, you lose out on a lot of damage in team fights. And what you can do afterwards is to actually tether the opponent, try to CC them, and to shield your team to prevent them from being killed by the enemy team. And that is the main problem with Karma mid. But we'll see how RH wants to manage that Karma as he goes up against JLKC on the Vladimir. Now, the win conditions on both teams are really different. FDG wants to dive on KLH, dismantle them, and just siege down all the lanes whenever they can, take objectives. So KLH, on the other side, they wouldn't want to fight, especially in tight areas like the Baron Pit or the Dragon Pit, especially when they are not ahead. Because if FDG jumps in, it will be really hard for them to retreat. You have Jarvan to zone them, you have Elise to cocoon and catch someone else, you have Trash, you have Vladimir who can just dive in and pull and just damage you a lot before the fight even starts. So KLH has to be really cautious, and if FDG plays it well with coordinated ganks, it's going to put a lot of pressure on KL Hunter's side.
And I think, I do agree with all your points, but I think KLH has mainly got to focus on stalling. They've got the team composition to allow themselves to stall out the game longer than they should. Karma being a very heavy utility pick. She's not there to kill people, she's there to protect people, help disengage. She's able to zone people, and she's able to push in damage whenever necessary. And I think this is going to be a very key to their composition.
And to note that KLH actually don't have a proper tank, so they have to really watch out for that as well, especially in a fight. They have to really plan and coordinate their movements before they try to take on any members from FDG side. As we load onto Summoner's Rift, Game 1 of KLH versus Fire Dragoons has all members just walking out onto the Rift, going to their respective lane. Bipolar planting the seeds of his plants on the lane, just zoning Hockey and Rabina back. And the thing about Zyra is that you have to really control where you stand in order to manipulate where the seed spawns. As we are going to start on the start the game as the creep spawn, lanes are going to start to farm. Neko, Jarvan in the top lane, Zare with the Elise in the jungle. Two really aggressive junglers, and we'll see how they play out in terms of ganks.
Now for this bot lane, we can see that Bipolar is playing very aggressive. At level 1, this is what they want to do. They want to push out the lane as much as possible, then keep tabs on Elise, so whenever she comes around, they can start pulling backwards. But this is generally how you want to play the lane, and I think KLH is doing what they're meant to be. On the side of top lane, they're pretty much going to stall there as long as possible and not try to give any free kills. Lee Sin coming down to his blue side, while Elise opting for a full clear, not going straight to her red and maybe going for a gank here? I'm not so sure.
But we've seen the same matchup of Cannon and Jarvan last week as well. We'll see how this player, will it be the same with teleport ganks and dives on the enemy team, or will they opt to be more defensive as KLH playing to their natural style, pushing out the bottom lane, starving the opponent bot lane under the tower, denying them farming experience, and just stall until help arrives. But they have to be careful, because if a Least comes in, they will have to respond with vision control and of course probably burn a few summoners. As we see Caspiel going into the jungle, it's going to spot out Xer on the red bar, throws a Sonic Wave, goes in, steals it, and he's going to engage on Xer. Xer retaliating with a bit of damage. Caspiel landing out that Tempest, but Xer is going to repel to the Crux, taking a bit of the damage but losing the red buff in the process, which denies him a bit more of his early gank potential. Really well played by Caspiel right there.
And that was really well played, because the reaction time, the moment he saw the life total of red buff, he quickly threw out his Sonic Wave, immediately goes straight for it. And now, definitely Xer could have probably smite, maybe he might have smited it, his smite was not up at that time, and it was a smite fight at that point. Now, Caspiel has more presence now. Without red buff, she loses a lot. She loses a bit of health regen, and she also loses the most important part, the extra slow on your attacks every single time you land an auto attack, and that's gonna make her lose a lot. And now you can see that she's returning back into her base, while Caspiel can just go around and start ganking people whenever he wants.
Yes, Caspiel already laying down 2 deep wards in the bottom quadrant of our Dragoon's jungle, and we know that Caspiel has been insane on that Lee Sin since last week, where he just snowballed the entire game. But so far, he has been playing a bit of aggression. We can already see him invading the jungle. He knows that Elise doesn't really clear jungle camps as fast as he does. The execute damage from his resonating strike actually helping up a lot in stealing that buff, and the fact that Zed does not have smite up just sets him back in back to a slower pace, as Caspiel is just going to go back to his jungle and safely take out his Krug for that extra goal. Meanwhile, all the lanes are still pretty balanced. Mid lane pushing in, Karma trying to push in the lane. We know that Vladimir does not have really good wave clear compared to Karma, so that Mantra Kill is going to clear out the wave really fast. While on the top lane, Shio has to be really careful of ganks, because Neko and Xer can just dive him if they are ready to do so. While bottom lane, Veki and Bipolar doing what they do best, pushing out the lanes and just starving Ribena and Hockey26 under the tower.
And I want to point out how Ribena and Hockey are now playing it. Now that they've hit level 3, they've got all the items and well, not really the items, they've got the skill set. They've got the skills to actually poke out Vicky and Bipolar. Now that Varus actually has his Q available and he can steadily use it, and Thresh to throw his hooks, they have such high kill potential right now. And both Veki and Bipolar know this, and they're slowly letting the wave push back into them, which is alright for them. But in this case, Lee Sin might even want to consider coming in for a gank if this continues to go on. We can see that CS count is slightly off, 3 CS off, and this is because Varus is doing a very good job of zoning them and using his Q as a major big source of damage to poke Veki out if he tries to go for a CS. Just these small punishes that will eventually add up. Here we can see a small interaction between Caspiel and Xer. What's going to happen here? Is he going to go in for the kill? No, he decides to back off.
Caspiel pops the Scry Bloom, just barely clips the edge of the ward. It's not going to be able to deny it, but he places another ward at the crux of Fire Dragoon's jungle. And Shiro and Neko already backing for the first time. Shiro picking up a Doran Shield, 2 daggers, as Caspiel comes in, smites the big Krug, gets a bit of bonus goal, again pushing Xer into a tight spot. But will Xer decide to stay there as Hockey comes in? Caspiel lands a Sonic Wave on the Crux again, but he will most probably not go in for the Crux. But oh, he might. He just zones Xer and Hockey back, throws out a Sonic Wave for safety measures. Xer forced to back as Caspiel will just safely take down a few Crux for that few extra goal. And that is just another major setback for Xer. 20 to 35 farm in just close to 7 minutes, and we can see how much impact Caspiel is trying to make in the jungle. He knows that if Xer gets a hit, if Xer gets a gank off, it will spell a lot of trouble for his team, especially with that composition. So he wants to put a lot of pressure on the side of Fire Dragoons, denying them that early pressure from the Elise so that he can snowball the game in the later stage.
As we mentioned at the beginning of the game, what KLH wants to do is stall as much as possible, and Caspiel is doing an amazing job keeping Elise at bay. As long as Elise can't get her ganks off and is behind in any way possible, the lanes have the opportunity to farm up a little safer and farm up a lot more so they can get to the point where they can eventually just completely run the game over. And Caspiel's Lisit is actually phenomenal. He has been pushing Zare back as much as he can.
The Death Sentence lands on the Bipolar, Flay facing back, Bipolar ignites Hockey, and he'll get the first blood, but Rabina gets a kill in return onto Bipolar. Veki just trying to poke him out a bit. First blood going to the side of KL Hunters, and a trade kill coming back from Fire Dragoons. Both summoners used for the supports on both team, and also heal burn for both Veki and Ribena. It's a good lead, not too bad of a trade for Fire Dragoons losing out on that first blood goal, but that just means that Veki hit level 6 first, and he's going to put a bit more pressure onto the side of Fire Dragoons on that bot lane.
And this is really, really good. The sad thing is that Veki couldn't actually pick up the kill there, and it's okay for Zyra to get the kill, but if it was on Kog'Maw, he'll be able to pick up so many more items on his way back. We can see a little scuffle here down at on mid side, Karma poking him out, and this is what Karma wants to do. Just poke out, survive the lane, and eventually go and help either bottom or even top whenever necessary.
And Neko actually obtaining information for the side of Fire Dragoon, placing a deep ward just now. It just expired at the red buff of KLH's side, so he knows for that period of time where Caspiel was. So, and it gave FDG a bit more sense of security, as we see JLKC just denying that vision ward, gaining a bit more vision in case Caspiel decides to gank. But on the side of KLH, they placed another aggressive ward on the red buff, really prioritizing on that bot side. They really don't want Zare to just go in, cocoons Veki or Bipolar and just snowball the lane from there onwards. They want their bot lane to come online, and that is exactly what Caspiel and the rest of his team has been doing for the past 9 minutes.
Now, Zare's having a really hard time. A lot of his camps are getting stolen from him, and he can't really do much about it. And every time he wants to try and set up a gank, it's not even possible because sometimes the lanes aren't ready to do anything, or Lee Sin has just invaded their jungle and she has to step back a bit. She can't just go forward. And here we might be able to see down at mid side, she might be going for a gank here.
And Caspiel is actually at the bot side, so we might see ganks coming in from 2 different positions. We do know the KLH does not have vision as he tries to land the root on the JLKC. Zed flashes in, cocoons R-Head forced to flash. Hemoplate comes out. Is it going to pop? And yes, JLKC rolling down the mid lane, grabbing RH, but the action is not over yet at bot lane. Caspiel tries to go in for the gank. Rabina putting out the piercing arrow, pierces through both Caspiel and Bipolar, and he is going to retreat, but 1 kill going to the side of Fire Dragoons in the mid lane, setting Karma a bit back.
Now, Rabina using his Chains of Corruption as a way to disengage was really good. They secured themselves not dying, and now finally, Hoki has hit his level 6. Now with not only with his Depth Scepters, but the box, which allows them to disengage even more, a lot better now. So they're just gonna have to play this a lot safer than they should. They know that Lee Sin has probably backed up, but they're not sure whether he's hiding in the brush or whether he's actually completely recalled to base.
A bit of poke coming out from the side of Rabina, and Veki, Zed doing what he's supposed to do, salvaging from that setback that he had in the early stages of the game, missing out on a lot of farm, 33 to 53. So the best response right now is to actually gank a lane where the gank actually works, as he did in the mid lane just now, flashing in, landing the cocoon and securing a kill for JLKC. And JLKC on that Vladimir has been extremely proficient, bursting people down. But we see RH and Caspiel actually rotating into Fire Dragoon's jungle, placing down 2 deep wards, trying to gain information on Zare, but Zare is just far from the jungle, as Caspiel is just going to again steal the crux from the side of Fire Dragoon, denying even more farm for Zare. As for the bottom lane, Veki and Bipolar, a lot of skirmishing potential, but with so much control coming up from Ribena and Hockey, I doubt that they would want to engage. But Zare is actually at the bottom side, not sure if he would choose to engage. Caspiel is also nearby, placing down that ward, that sweeper coming out from Zare, spotting out Caspiel. So Caspiel still deciding it's the safe way to go in. No, RH actually uses the blast cone, speeds up Caspiel, Death Sentence lands onto Caspiel, Flame comes in, but the teleport is coming in from Shiro. There will going to be a fight. Hockey laying a bit of damage on the R-Head, piercing arrow, pierces him. Caspiel kicks Shiro back, but it doesn't matter. JLKC getting another kill onto Arhead as Cataclysm lands onto Shiro, but they'll disengage. Shiro's stunning Neko, but 5 men from Dragoon side on in the bot lane, and they will start to slowly siege down the bottom lane tower. KLH running dry of their resources, Dragon's Rage used, Slicing Maelstrom not yet used, but there won't be enough engaged power. JLKC still has that Hemo play in his arsenal, and if he pops it, it will spell a lot of trouble for the side of KL Hunters, as they will put a bit of pressure on the bottom lane and just retreat off of that.
And sadly enough, there was only 1 kill there, but there was potentially more kills in store there had they played that a little bit better. But getting that pick was really good by FDG. They really need that to continue the snowball, to start snowballing head on. But what they need right now are towers. They need to start pushing back the vision line. Oh, and we're seeing a little scuffle down here, and both Veki
and Zer going down. Yes, Veki exploding on top of Ribena. Not enough to take him down. Just a bit of a scratch onto the Varus as the push on bottom will continue, but Caspiel securing that Ocean Drake in exchange. Now Vladimir versus Karma in the mid lane. Let's talk about this for a while. We know Karma has really good zoning abilities, and Vladimir is not really good in terms of wave clear. But if he gets the snowball going, Karma will face a lot of problem because he can just dive onto her. The Hextech Prolobel already picked up for that Vladimir snowball. Already being initiated, Karma has to play a bit more careful. Morel Nomicons reduces a bit of healing for JLKC, but with that snowball that he has right now, Karma would not want to engage on him unless she has a bit of assistance from Caspiel or maybe even from the bot lane. So far, FDG in the lead, 300 goal lead, not that much, but in terms of snowball and objective pressure, they have it in their hands.
Alright, now this is like slowly going towards the most important parts of the fights. Any fights that happen from here on out, depending on where the kills go to, can really just set the game for the next 10 to even 20 minutes, depending on how it plays out. Karma isn't going to do much in this matchup. Vladimir completely outdamages her. Even with the Morello Nomicons, he's naturally going to outdamage her, and that's just set in stone. That's normal. Veki has been set back with that death. He's already got Blade of the Ruin King. He's got some damage to push out, but Varus is eventually going to finish his IE. He's eventually going to deal a lot more poke damage, and we're going to see how these fights play out a little bit more as Neko comes in.
Neko coming in, Dragon lances onto the flagpole. JLKC laying that insane, but it's taking out half of RH's HP bar, and that is what we just mentioned. That snowball has begun. JLKC starting to do insane damage, and if this keeps on, we might see a reenaction of what happened last week, where JLKC just ignores everyone, dives in, takes 3 kills, retreats, and takes the game eventually. And KLH now being pushed back to a corner as the Ward's going to spot out Caspiel. And if Caspiel decides to go for that gang, Zer will be ready to take them on. But I don't think Caspiel knows about that. Now he does. But Zer's going to let Cocoon onto Veki. Veki just explodes there. He's going to Cocoon, takes the Dark Passage, goes back, but Veki just explodes on him, taking him down. A bit of a trade kill coming in from both sides. Veki, Zer almost escaping as Caspiel lands the Sonic Wave onto Ribena. Not sure if he wants to go in. He might, but with Hockey standing in front, he would have to reconsider that decision, just letting a bit more poke onto the minions, clearing out the wave, shoving it out. Bipolar at the back, not being able to do much at this point. And the side of 5 Dragoons just putting intense pressure on the bot lane. Mid lane is already fine. The snowball is already initiated. So what they need to do is to put pressure on that bot lane, shut Veki and Bipolar down. Top lane will just naturally be outskilled, as Cannon will not really go do well against Javan in the mid game, as Javan has way more damage potential. But if KLH managed to stall into the later stages of the game, they might have a chance to come back. But on one condition, they have to keep Veki alive.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Now, props to KLH Veki for actually managing to salvage a bad situation. He ends up dying, but manages to get a kill on Zer. Zer is going to slowly tip off later on in the game, but for now he's doing a really good job. Even though his camps are being stolen, he's making the biggest effort to try and push push KLH back as far as possible. Caspiel also playing really well, landing his shockwaves. I don't think he's missed one intentionally yet, which is really great. And we can see here that Zer might actually go for a second gank.
Neko shoving out the waves there, waiting in the brush. No vision
Ooh.
on the Spider Queen yet as he moves into the first brush. Accidentally reveals himself. A bit of misclick coming out there, but I don't think he can. Puts a Spider, let's say walk towards Shiro. Damages the range clip. Neko just gonna finish the job with the Dragon's Lance, but Zaire is gonna get spotted out by Caspio. Caspio throws out a Sonic Wave, does not hit, and he's just gonna pop the Scryer's Bloom, spots out where Caspio is and go back into the jungle. And oh, we actually have a Q coming on the bot side. Hockey taking now Veki.
Oh!
Ribina flashes at the last moment. Veki explodes in thin air. Nothing going to the side of KLH. And things are getting a bit more worse each minute. As Caspio comes in, will he spot out Rabina? He will not. Rabina just retreats further, but he lands a Sonic Wave onto Hockey. Will he go in? I doubt that. Hockey retaliating with a death sentence, flaying Caspio in, throws the Dark Patches there, misses the Lantern, misses his trip in. A teleport coming in for sure, but he's going to coming in for Neko, but he'll cancel it. Flash coming up from Sages now, missing the Cocoon. Nothing going to the side of FDG, but at least they got the Cockmore, but at the expense of a TP and a Flash.
Now that was just a really crazy play if they could pull that off, and it was really ballsy of them to actually manage to try. And I really wow, it's just a lot of effort that's going in for FDG and a lot of communication that's involved. First of all, let's look at what Hockey had to do. He landed the death sentence, and now he has two decisions. He has to see how far Zaire is, and after that, he has to communicate with Zaire, telling him, "Can you make it this far before I can throw my lantern?" He does. He says yes. He goes in for it, and now Neko, who's actively watching the fight, makes the TP play to actually come down to save them in case anything goes down. We see that it goes horrible. It's starting to go horrible. Neko decides to go down, and we can see at the top side, Shiro poking him out.
Yes, Hockey actually walking just a bit out of range, just disabling the the express trip for Zaire into Caspio. So a bit of a misplay there, just walking out of range by accident. But Shiro already pushing Neko back as the Blade of the Rune King and Ninja Thereby coming online for that cannon. Range is already an advantage for the side of Shiro. He can poke Neko from afar, but the plant is going to spot out there. It gets a bit of a love tap onto the Spider. Caspio actually waiting on that bottom brush. We might see.
Now, let's actually have a replay of that fight just now. As we can see here, this fight, they kind of know what's going on. Veki's slowly farming, not having no idea what's going on. And all of a sudden, throws out the chains. And he lands Death Sentence, layering CC upon CC. We can see Zyra is completely out of position to actually do anything much for Veki. And that is just really, really well played
and we
for the
have
side.
A kill coming in, but JLKZ comes in, throws out the Hemo Plague. Is it going to get anyone? Hemo Plague pops. He almost gets two, but Zaire is there, gets a double kill. Shiro retaliating with a kill on his own onto the Spider. Bipolar being dropped low. RH actually in time to save his team, and he's going to land a root, puts a shield, almost gets Neko, and they have slowly regained the momentum. KLH doing a really good rotation to the bot lane. Both TPs popped for Shiro and RH, and they have ran this strat last week. 2 TPs, one for the mid laner, one for top lane, just enabling a lot of rotation capabilities as they are going to take down the first turret in the bottom lane.
And that was really, really good of JLKC, seeing the opportunity to land at least 4 people with his Hemophage, dealing so much AoE damage in general. But the problem is that the rest of his team was getting poked out, and the amount of damage that KLH's RH actually did is actually a lot more ridiculous than we think. Even though Vlad is able to take on Karma, it might not necessarily happen for the rest of them as well. So it's really interesting how that fight ended up playing out. It could have gone both ways.
Yes, JLKC extending a bit too far in the fight just now. Fire Dragoons wasn't able to follow up, and that just cost him his life. Had he been a bit more patient with that Hemo Play engage just now, he can use that pool more efficiently and possibly just annihilate entirely of KLH. As we see Sad lands the Cocoon onto Caspio. It's going to retreat, but the fight is happening at bot lane. Shiro being taken out by Neko. Caspio forced to retreat, but Zaire is on his back. Caspio ward jumps out, but JLKC is right beside him. Places down a wall, goes in with the Ties of Blood. Hex check Portobello, lands a Hemo Play, lands the Sanguine Pool. Hemo Plague will pop, and JLKC absorbs the blood of Caspio.
And that was amazing Amazing mechanical prowess from the side of JLKC. Lee Sin wanted to kick him back, but he immediately went into Blood Pool to cancel that animation. He didn't get the opportunity. He lands his skills and finally gets rid of him in the end. This is really, really some amazing plays from JLKC.
But KLH, as usual, so far still out-rotating Fire Dragoons, taking out 2 towers at the top lane. But in terms of kill, FDG making the aggressive plays as how that team comp was built to be. Caspiel, a bit of a minor setback, already getting that Hex Drinker 20 minutes into the game just to counter JLKC's damage. So JLKC right now with that Storm Raider surge is going to have a bit more mobility going into those engages and escaping after bursting someone down. Fire Dragoon's not going to let KLH breathe even for a single second. Yes, they lost 2 towers at the top, but they are still slowly choking KL Hunters out of their comfort zone.
And KL Hunters have to give JLKC a lot more respect on this Vladimir. Next game, I don't think we're going to see Vladimir come up again.
And this is just history repeating itself. JLKC getting the snowball rolling, already having that Liandry's. You know, Liandry's with the magic penetration, ability damage and health, and even the extra burn on your abilities. And with but we see Rabina flashes in, misses the chain corruption, but Zen lands the cocoon. Becky explodes, but the strangle don't counter for Bipolar. Zare is going to repel, takes the lantern, but dies to Bipolar. Caspiel comes in, Shiro taking out JLKC, pops the Tempest, but Neko is going to go out, escape. No, Shiro gets a double kill.
Wow, that was a very interesting fight. FDG wanting to make a play there, forcing a play there, catching out Veki, but in return, they lost 4 members. It was a 4-1 trade, and now KLH is gonna punish them hard, taking tier 1 and tier 2 towers. Oh boy, this game is spicy.
And if FDG fails to dive like that one again, we will see the momentum swing go back to KL Hunter's side, as Veki has been set back by quite a lot, 2-5 compared to Ribina's 3-1, already grabbing the Runner's Hurricane and Essence River, while Veki still working his way towards that Trinity Force as KL Hunters will pick up the second Ocean Drake of the game. So far, momentum is shifting left and right. KLH actually has a goal lead over Fire Dragoons off of those 3 towers, while Fire Dragoon so far only having pressure on the bot side. They must not fail the gank. They have a lot of bursts, they have to engage, but they have to coordinate it properly. Because what KLH is specialized in is they can slowly peel and kite the side of FDG back. Once you go in, you have to make sure you get something out of that engage, or you're just going to be slowly withered down.
And on the side of KLH, they're holding what we call the tempo right now. They can play as fast as they want. They can try to be more aggressive, increase the speed of the tempo, increase how much Veki is going to snowball into the game. But I think right now they just got to keep it at a constant pace. Let FDG come to them, make the mistakes, and they will play off of that. That's what KLH needs to slowly play right now. They can't get caught right now, because if they get caught, they're going to lose a lot of their tempo, and maybe even losing 3 members might result in losing tier 1 and tier 2 towers for the side of KLH.
Yes, FDG relieving a bit of that pressure, but I don't think they would want to stop that. Still trying to gain vision control over the side of KLH, as we see 2 of the members sitting in the Pixie Brush. KLH, Bipolar trying to de-ward as Zare will do the same. Death Center actually lands a Bipolar. He pulls himself in. Flay, Chain of Corruption comes in. Bipolar uses a Strangledown, holds on for the bit, but he goes down to Ribina. Another kill for the Fire Dragoons.
And this is what I was talking about. They can't get caught out like that. Right now, 5k gold differential, not so big of a deal, but later in the game, it's going to actually matter. And if they keep getting caught out like this, the tempo is slowly going to shift into the favor of FDG. Right now, it's a bit onto the side of KLH, but it's not a secure victory.
Yes, and the mid tier 1 tower going down to the side of Fire Dragoons, as KLH is still responding by shoving the lanes in, trying to out-rotate Fire Dragoons. As we look at the top lane, KLH already pushing the minion wave close to the inhibitor turret, forcing FDG to respond to that push. And this opens up a bit of a more breathing room for the KL Hunters to secure objective vision and also a bit of more lane pressure and farm for the members.
And we can see that both teams are slowly farming up. Let's have a look at the itemization of both teams as of right now. We can see that Neko has finished his Titanic Hydra and his Black Cleaver. He's got a lot of damage packed inside of one King of Demacia. And on the side of KLH, Cannon now finishing Hurricane Runan,
Runan's Hurricane.
Runan's
Runan's
Hurricane, and Bork. This is going to be important because she's now going to start acting as a peel roll, and her auto attacks are naturally going to start shredding away life totals from the side of FDG and eventually go straight in for an engage.
Yes, and KLH establishing vision in the FDG's jungle, and both ADC already going for that quick silver sash just to dispel all the crowd control that will possibly land on them in a big team fight. And it is a really good choice, a bit of extra magic resist, especially for Veki. You know, JLKC can just dive him, so that extra magic resist and dispel on the crowd controls might just save his life. But still, KLH will have to protect him if they want him to deal out consistent damage and prevent dive from the side of FDG, as they are trying to secure Baron Vision Hockey, just taking out that Scryer's orb, but he does not spot out the Vision ward that is newly placed by Bipolar.
Now, I want to add on, Veki is forced to buy QSS here, and he really needs it to get out of really bad situations and not get picked out. But the problem with that is that it becomes very...
JLKC come in, Death Sentence misses, Caspian ward jumps away, takes down the Vision ward. So
now,
close.
Yeah, as I was saying, Veki, it's frustrating for him because it sets him back from actually buying his core items. He hasn't picked up Guinzu's or Runan's Hurricane, which is really frustrating because that's really going to set him apart from the rest of the ADs, and that's when he's going to start hyper carrying.
Yeah, Caspio actually trying to stall out the top lane, but 5 Dragoons with 4 members on top is going to take down the top tier 1 tower, but KLH already shoving their way to the inhibitor turret in the mid lane, again out-rotating their opponents. Caspio just buying time for the side of KL Hunter as it's going the Sonic Wave, Resident Strike on top of JLKC. Zan misses the cocoon, Caspio wall jumps away, and that is a lot of time bought for KLH as they take down the mid inhib turret.
Now Caspio's playing really, really well. He's not getting caught and he's denying all their recalls. He's giving Zare a bit of hope, saying, oh, maybe I'll give you a kill. Nope, and he ward drops right out of their clutches. And this is really well played by KLH. They saw them take top tower, and in response, they took their tier 3 mid lane. And that shows how much KLH knows the game.
Yes, and KLH, knowing that FDG will want to dive on them, not giving them the chance, establishing vision everywhere to spot out the members of 5 Dragoons and just out-rotating them in terms of map pressure. Already breaking into the base, almost 30 minutes into the game. And if a fight breaks out, this might be the deciding fight. A chain crusher comes out from Ribena, but it's getting poked down by the plant. As Shiro goes in with the ultimate, Redemption is going to come down. JLKC being burst, RH following him, he's forced to flash out. Shiro goes down, Neko comes in with a Cataclysm. Zay is trapped in the wall with Caspio. JLKC being ignited, using the Prolo Bell to go away, but Hockey lands the death sentence on the Caspio. Neko being taken down by Veki. That long range from his W just took Neko by surprise. 2 members down for 5 Dragoons as they will lose an inhibitor following the bad fight. But Veki is trying to engage back in as the QSS the cocoon. Death sentence lands on the RH. Living laterally misses. JLKC gets rooted. Do they still want to go in? Probably not. KLH retreating with the reap of 2 kills and an inhibitor.
And FDG really should have disengaged from their fight the moment they start losing members. It's okay if you give them up inhibitors, but there's no way they could have pushed that far to get into the inhibitor turret, to the Nexus turrets, which is so important there. Jarvan, Neko might not have died there if they started calling up, don't go into the fight, they can't take out any more of their turrets.
And Shiro doing a really good job in that fight just now, just flashing in with the ultimate.
Oh, yes.
Just disrupting the backline of 5 Dragoons, forcing them to react to that aggressive play. And that is how Neko had to use the Cataclysm to force something from the side of KLH. But in the process, just trapping Zare inside, almost killing his teammate, and he ends up going down his own as Shiro just throws a bit of a shuriken on his back, and he's now going to solo the Cloud Drake. Not a really priority target objective but the bonus mobility is going to give them a bit more control over map rotation so far.
Hey man, I mean a buff is a buff. You take it, don't give it to your enemy. You'll take any small advantage at this point for KLH. As long as they're denying FDG as many resources as possible, just take all their camps, give them as little gold as possible for them to farm.
As we see Ping coming out at the Baron pit, both sides wanting control of Baron. They really need to secure their objective. If Baron goes to FDG side, KLH will lose a bit of momentum. But if it goes to the Hunter side, they will get probably the win as Death Sentence lands onto Caspiel. Cocoon lands on him as well, but they will disengage. And Shiro shoving in the bot lane, not giving Neko time to respond to the KL Hunters taking Baron, but FDG might just have to force themselves and dive on KL Hunters as they are most probably starting on Baron. Just Sonic Wave spotting Hockey out, and Karma using the Mantra Shield, getting them out. JLKC in quite a bad position. Lantern is thrown, but he does not take it. Zed being kicked by the Dragon Stray. Sonic Wave
Kennen
lands.
is teleporting in.
But he goes in. He gets Cocoon. Caspiel goes down. Ribena takes him out. But Shiro is at the back. Pops his ultimate. Bipolar takes down Ribena, and RH takes down Hockey. Shiro is going to kill JLKC. Zed for a double kill as Veki aces Fire Dragoons, and now the base is blown wide open for the side of KL Hunters. Death timers are too long for Fire Dragoons. It might be the first game for them as they push on to the Nexus turret. There's no creep, but super minions are coming in. That small blue minion attacking Shiro. RH just kills him. First Nexus turret goes down. Still 12 seconds onto Hockey. Second Nexus turret go down, and KLH will take their sweet time as they attend the ceremonial taking of the Nexus. First game go over to KL Hunters.
Now KLH taking game 1 against FDG.